Hi, everyone. Welcome to your U.S. History Week 28 launch, and we are going to discuss the Checkpoint 2 in the Gilded Age project. So just a quick reminder, what is the Gilded Age? It was the late 1800s, early 1900s. That term was coined by Mark Twain, the author, and what he meant was that while the time period was very glittery on the surface, it was very corrupt underneath. And the reason being is that the industrialists, or the people that owned the factories and made all the money, they were getting completely rich at the expense of their workers that were mostly immigrants and very poor people that they were paying next to nothing and having them work very long hours in very dangerous conditions. And again, the rise of big business at the expense of the poor workers and immigrants. Again, you want to be making sure that in the back of your mind, while you're completing this project, you're thinking of the compelling question, which is, can greed be good? So just while you work through these checkpoints and read these resources, just kind of keep that question in the back of your mind. A reminder with the project outline, we are currently in step 1, which is the inquiry on the Gilded Age, because these couple checkpoints require us to use visual and written resources to answer supporting questions that are going to help us lead towards being able to answer that compelling question of, can greed be good? So then we'll move on to the second part, I think, next week. So for now, we're in the inquiry phase. Checkpoint 2 is the positive aspects of the industrialization in the Gilded Age. So in other words, what were the good things that came out of industrialization? What you're going to do is look at these resources. And again, the resources are always off to the right side of the screen. So if you're not sure where I found these, when you get into the summit, it's off to the right side of the screen. You want to make sure, don't just rely on document 1, okay? You always want to make sure that you're fully reading these resources to get a better, more well-rounded picture. So a lot of these are just going to be images. So document 1 is a graph. You want to kind of look at what is this graph actually saying, and then summarize your notes. You can actually make a copy of this and type your own notes for yourself. But what is that graph saying? How is this showing that industrialization was good? And then looking at this graph, how is this saying that industrialization was a positive thing? Then we have different documents that you can read. I think there's just a couple more. Andrew Carnegie. So yeah, there's about 4 or 5 documents. A couple of them are actual text, but most of them are just images and maps and graphs, because it's very important to be able to look at a graph and actually explain what's happening in that graph. So these are your documents for the week. And then what you're going to be doing is just using some evidence in there to just write a simple paragraph about some of the positive aspects of industrialization. Your reflection for this week is, why was the industrial age also called the Gilded Age? And then before I go, just a reminder that this week marks the end of the 3rd marking period. So we have about 9 weeks left till the end of the school year. There are several of you who are on pace and everything looks good, but there are others who are just not working nearly as much as you need to in order to pass this class. So the good thing is there is still time, but the longer you put this off, the more unlikely you are to pass the course. So make sure that you commit to this today. Go back and start completing some of those old projects. Reach out for help to me or your learning guide if you need it, but it's very, very important that you start soon.